Welcome back to the IBFP. Here's your host, Boxing Nuke.
Welcome back, fight fans. Welcome back. Let's just dig right into it. Jarrett Hurd calls out Jermell Charlo. Jermell Charlo responds, and it looks like these guys are looking for a big fight in 2019. I think this will be an excellent fight between two of the biggest 154 pounders. Let's just break down the fight and see who these two guys are and how that fight would play out. Let's start with Jarrett Hurd. Jarrett Hurd is 22-0 with 15 knockouts. His last opponent was an Landy Lada, in which he defeated over a split decision over 12 rounds. He basically dropped him in the 12th round to edge the fight in his favor. Now, if you look in reverse, Jermell Charlo is 31-0 with 15 knockouts. Basically, his last fight was against an Austin Trout, in which he got a majority decision victory over 12 rounds. It looks like both of these fights, they both had difficulty. They both struggled a little bit. Landy Lada is a top fighter, is one of the best and most technically skilled and sound fighters there is. Now, Austin Trout basically is a second-tier fighter. He's not an elite level fighter. He's not a top fighter, and he's not even an excellent technical fighter. He's a decent C-B fighter at the very best. Austin Trout has not enough punching power to stop or hurt anyone. And basically, in that particular fight with Jermell Charlo was worried about looking good. He referred to his trainer many times in the corner and saying, "Hey, I'm not trying to look bad." And I found that very disturbing because Derrick James didn't prepare him adequately to be able to cut off the ring against an Austin Trout, against a guy who's basically done at this point in his career. So that was very disturbing that he said that. Now, if we look at Jermell Charlo's attributes a little bit more, Jermell Charlo is 5'11" with a 73-inch reach. And then on the other hand, Jarrett Hurd is 6'1" with a 76.5-inch reach. So it's clear that Jarrett Hurd is the bigger man. He's also 28 years old, and that'll be the same age as Jermell Charlo. So both of these guys are young. They're entering their primes, but it looks like Jarrett Hurd is the bigger, taller man, has longer reach. And not only that, an interesting thing about Jarrett Hurd is he knows how to cut off the ring. Think about it like this. He beat and defeated one of the most technically sound fighters in Landy Lada, and yet he was able to cut off the ring enough to cause him all kind of hell, trouble, and also drop him in the late rounds. And plus, he's the only fighter that was able to knock out Austin Trout. He stopped Austin Trout in the 10th round in 2017. He's basically a very strong, big fighter, bullies you, and basically cut off the ring in Austin Trout. He's the only one to ever stop Austin Trout, and both of the Charlo brothers has fought Austin Trout. That shows me a lot about Jarrett Hurd. Technically, he doesn't look like an excellent technical fighter as far as being able to get his shots off, but I will tell you this, he finds out and figures how to cut off the ring almost at an elite level, and that's one big attribute for a big strong guy hunting down his opponent. So I have to give the favor in Jarrett Hurd there. He can figure it out more than I'll say Jermell Charlo can. He's never looked panic in that fight against Austin Trout or in the fight against Landy Lada, two opponents who were moving a lot. So at this point, I'll have to give the edge to Jarrett Hurd. He's bigger, he's taller, he has a longer reach. He may just be much stronger than Jermell Charlo, and he basically shows that he has a technical ability to be able to cut off a ring against a top-tier opponent such as an Landy Lada, and he basically can stop guys who Jermell Charlo had trouble with. And I understand that styles make fights, but let's be honest, Jarrett Hurd and Jermell Charlo have very similar styles. Both of these guys lack defensively. Both of these guys basically gives a punch and takes a punch. So this could be a 50-50 fight if Jermell Charlo comes in, but I think Jarrett Hurd might just be a little too much for him, a little too big, a little too strong. I think Jarrett Hurd gets the victory, most likely by late stoppage against a Jermell Charlo. Once again, it's the IBFP, unbiased, uncut, and please share, like, and you must absolutely subscribe.